Welcome to today's session. I have to admit that by preparing for today, I had to chew the material and read again and again through text, mind maps, but I hope I have it together in a way that, that you understand and it makes sense. So we will see. But first of all, again, as usual, let us make our motivation a moment in silence. Okay, now please, David, I would love if you would read again the two verses for our together motivation for this session.
Mercy alone is seen as the seed of the conqueror's rich harvest, as a water for development, as ripening in the state of long enjoyment. Therefore, at the start, I praise compassion. Samsara and Nirvana lack even an atom of true existence, while cause and effect and dependent arising are unfailing. I seek your blessings to discern the import of Nagarjuna's thought, which is that these two are complementary, not contradictory.
Thank you. Very nice. Okay, so now let's see where we are at the moment. Just briefly, supplement to the middle way, main text. You can just go through the middle line with me. We are in the actual body of the text. We are in the place where they are talking about the causal grounds, and here specifically about the presentation of the grounds of Bodhisattva superiors. And in this context, it is that presentation we had last time, presentation of the 10 grounds in common, and then also the presentation of the individual grounds. Here, last time, the first ground, very joyful. And this first ground has quite a few topics that are connected to it, and we still also today will stay on the first ground. And now this looks then like this. The first ground with all its sub-headings and sub-chapters. We looked briefly at the entity of the ground, and are now in the middle part here in the extensive explanation of the good qualities that characterize this ground. And here, this has now many subheadings. We looked last time at the good qualities that beautify one's own continuum when one is on this ground. And we were enumerating some of the qualities, like that the Bodhisattva is attaining a meaningful name. She or he is called ultimate Bodhisattva. Or other qualities like birth into the Tathagata family, or mastering higher grounds, and so on. And then we also started to look at the good qualities that outshine others continuum. And here specifically, it's about the how a Bodhisattva on the first ground is outshining hearers and solitary realizers by way of lineage. We talked about the birth, the newborn Garuda birth, or the newborn of the king of birth, as a specific lineage that the newborn already has a lot of potential qualities because he is born in this lineage. The same with the Bodhisattva. And then we heard about, just briefly also, that the Bodhisattva is outshining hearers and solitary realizers by way of wisdom, but only from the seventh ground onwards. And now here we are actually more or less landed the explanation of the meaning established by these teachings. Okay, so that's where we are for today. Now, the topic, the meaning that is established by this teaching is very much connected to the two first uncommon points or uncommon tenets of the Prasangika. I was mentioning them in the introduction, that it's always again, these points are very important in the text. So in this context, it is about the first and the second. First reading here, hearers and solitary realizer Arhats do realize selflessness of phenomena. And the second one, grasping for true existence, selflessness of phenomena, is an afflictive obscuration. And to really understand what's coming in the text, I made these additional, go back. What did you do now? Here. I made these additional charts just to have a look that we remember, that we remember what we need to understand to grasp actually the meaning of these two uncommon points. So that's therefore I was pointing out here that on the upper chart is the selflessness of person, how it is posited by Tantrika and the lower schools, that is in green color, and by Prasangika in pink color. So it's about the coarse selflessness of person, and here the right side, the subtle selflessness of person. According to Tantrika and the lower school, the coarse selflessness of person is the lack of hui, the lack of a permanent, unitary, independent self. And the subtle selflessness of person is the lack of SSSE, meaning the lack of a self-sufficient, substantial existent self. Okay, just leave it like that. Prasangika, now it gets interesting. They hold or posit a different coarse selflessness of person. They say actually the lower schools and Tantrika, subtle selflessness of person is just the coarse selflessness. As it is for them, the lack of SSSE is the coarse selflessness of person, and the subtle selflessness of person is the lack of inherent existence. Okay, both Tantrika and the lower school and Prasangika, they hold that the subtle selflessness person is the main object of abandonment by hearers and solitary risers. Okay, so that's one thing, and I think this distinction between what for them is subtle and what for them is coarse in Tantrika and Prasangika, this is the main that is very important. So they have really different definition and outlook of the subtleness or coarseness. Okay, then let's look at the selflessness of phenomena. And here again, I just put the other schools, the lower school as well, or some of them. And again, it's about a coarse selflessness of phenomena and a subtle selflessness of phenomena. And to go through the Chitta Martin school, I want to add here the lower school like Vabhasika and Tantrika, they don't talk about selflessness of phenomena. So it's not mentioned here as well. But Chitta Martin, they have the concept, but they say no, none. There's no coarse selflessness of phenomena. But they distinguish a subtle selflessness of phenomena. They say it is the lack of form and the valid cognizer apprehending form being different substances. So in other words, we could also say the lack of the subject and the object, the object and the object possessor being different substances. Okay, and here again is this crossing for the Svatantrika, one school of the Svatantrika, the Yogacara, they hold here the same, but they say no, this is the coarse selflessness of phenomena, this lack of form and the valid cognizer apprehending forms being different substances. That's just the course one. And the other Svatantrika school, the Sautrantika, they say no course, none, but they hold, and these two Svatantrika schools are here in agreement, they both hold the subtle presence of phenomena is the lack of truly existent phenomena. And then Prasangika, they hold none, or presence of phenomena, not important, not necessary, but that the subtle presence of phenomena is the lack, again, of inherent existent phenomena. Okay? To put this a little bit together is like both Svatantrika and Prasangika posit. For liberation, for example, hearers and solitary realizers attaining liberation, it needs the abandonment of grasping at the self, of the subtle selflessness of person. I agree with that. The difference, as we have seen in this chart, is how they, what is the meaning for them about subtle selflessness. Huh? What I said, for the Svatantrika below, it is a lack of SSSE, and for the Prasangika, it is lack of inherent existence, which is just a deeper meaning. The point is here that for Svatantrika, they hold that the mental consciousness is truly existing. The other aggregates are, they are not, but in the mental consciousness, there is something existing from the object side. Prasangika instead hold or posit absolutely all objects are lacking inherent existence. It's nothing coming from the object side, but everything is designated or imputed on a valid basis from the mind. Okay, and now I have to add one more thing, this one, because it's connected with these 2 points of the uncommon tenets. Here, just for our memory, how do Svatantrika and Prasangika posit afflictive obscurations and knowledge obscurations? Again, we can see on the chart, Svatantrika, here the afflictive obscurations, and here to the right, the knowledge obscurations. They are very important, as we can remember as well, that when we want to attain liberation, specifically omniscience, we need to abandon both afflictions and the knowledge obscurations. Okay, now Svatantrika here in green color again, for them, an afflictive obscuration is grasping at SSSE, as a self-sufficient, substantially existent self. And the knowledge obscuration is the conception of true existence, or the grasping at the conception of true existence. Again, now the difference here it is. Prasangika, they say no, the conception of true existence is actually an afflictive obscuration, because it needs to abandon the knowledge obscuration. It needs they are the mistaken dualistic appearances. For example, the appearance of true existence. And this is, I mentioned before, the solitary realizers and hearers' main object of abandonment. This one here is the main object of abandonment by the Bodhisattva. And the conception of true existence is the selflessness of phenomena. Okay, now to make it a bit more clear, I hope so. The point is, if one doesn't realize that the mental and physical aggregates, also all aggregates, are not truly existent or not inherently existent, one cannot realize that the person who is imputed or designated in independence on the aggregates does not truly exist. And thus, one will not realize the selflessness of person. And without eliminating the conception of like grasping at true existence of person and of phenomena, it is impossible to abandon the afflictive obscuration. And this is the reason, how they put it here as well, this is the reason that the conception of self of phenomena and the conception of self of person are posited by the Prasangika as afflictive obscuration. And meaning, or like I'll say consequence, not maybe consequence of it, is that all three lineage bearers, hearers, solitary realizers, and bodhisattvas, necessarily have the direct realization of emptiness of phenomena. That would be the first of these two points, and they and out of this, the consequence is grasping for true existence. The selflessness of phenomena is an afflictive obscuration. Okay, so far just as a starter for what is coming now on the text and on the mind maps, just to remember how these different schools are having different meanings and interpretation of afflictions or afflictive obscuration, noise obscuration, of selflessness of person, of subtle selflessness, and so on. So this is important to keep in mind. Okay. Anything to add or whatever, David, on so far?
No, that's great. I like this.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Now I've again forgot to make my alarm clock. I always forget it. Anyway, we are still okay in time. So next, now we go over here to them. You can see this brown or brownish, whatever, I don't know the color exactly how you see it. It's brown reddish color is this 0.1, 0.2, here also, and that's two uncommon tenets that I was mentioning before. So they are here now looked at from different points of view. It's still in the context of outshining how bodhisattvas are outshining others continuum. Okay, so there are three questions actually that are posed in the text, and there are three reasonings coming along with these questions. One question is here, the first one in green. Make it a little bigger, I can read it better. Why do bodhisattvas on the first to the sixth ground not outshine hearers and solitary realizers arhats by way of their realization of wisdom? And in addition here, actually, the bodhisattva does some hearers and non-Buddhists. That is not a question. Their realization of wisdom is already greater, but she doesn't the arhats. And what is the reason? Because now comes this first point: hearers and solitary realizer arhats necessarily also have the direct realization of emptiness of phenomena, and they have it at the same time at this level with the bodhisattvas. So the bodhisattvas are not further realized with their wisdom. The explanation of this, if actually it would be different, there would be absurd consequences. Like sages, like on a mundane path, meditators, yogis, whatever, sages on a mundane path, they can suppress afflictions, afflicting obscurations, all of them even. So it would mean hearers and solitary realizers would be just like that. They would just suppress the afflictions and not abandon them and deceive. That would be a consequence. That is not the case. And another absurd consequence would be Bodhisattvas would outshine, in this case, hearers and solitary risers, arhats already on the first ground. That's also, we know that's not the case. So that's one reasoning, and I have to say, still, when I read through this, sometimes what is in this text, it's really not easy, for me at least, to understand, to really grasp the complete meaning of. I don't have the expectation that I can do this. And in this context, it's not really just so easy to understand the points, what they want to say. But more I'm listening and reading and reflecting on the points, I can understand better. It's like a picture is coming together and then makes it more whole in my mind to understand more. Okay. Now we have a second question that is posited here. Do hearers and solitary realizer arhats have not abandoned the afflictive obscurations together with their seeds? This is this green part down here. And the answer here is they have definitely abandoned the afflictive obscurations together with their seeds. Why? Because they have directly realized emptiness of phenomena, as we have heard. It's all from the point of view of Prasangika. They have this realization, so they have abandoned the afflictions together with their seeds. And here is a connection to the second uncommon point. The hearers and solitary riser arhats have their main object of cultivation is emptiness of true existence. And the main object of abandonment is grasping for true existence. But what we heard, this is what Prasangika holds as the selflessness of a person. And therefore, grasping for true existence or selflessness of phenomena is an afflictive obscuration. Okay, and then we have a third point here. Do hearers and solitary riser arhats realize selflessness of person completely, the intellectual quiet selflessness of person completely? And again, Prasangika holds they do because of the direct realization of emptiness. They don't superimpose an inherent existing self on the aggregates, which are the basis of imputation, because they have overcome the belief in the referent object, meaning that they don't believe in the aggregates being truly existent. And again, this is the main difference with the Prasangika, that there is completely, the aggregates are completely empty of inherent existence, not as the Svatantrika or lower school hold that the aggregates are actually truly existent, because one of the aggregates, the mental consciousness, is truly existent. So Svatantrika believe here on the side in the aggregates being truly existent. Therefore, the subtle level or the fully qualified selflessness of person is not realized by them. And again, just to add to this, for Prasangika, a fully qualified selflessness of person is the realization that the person is not inherently existent. This is the subtle selflessness of person. That's what we had before on the chart. Okay, this is one. There will quite a bit more come discussions about these two uncommon points in the next mind map. Okay, we are here now. In the text, Prasangika, they go on and with the quotes from other texts. For example, here it's mainly about how Shantideva is also positing these or like emphasizing, or I don't know the correct word in English, like just he has the same opinion about these two uncommon points. He completely agrees with them. And here there are some quotes and some explanation about it. In Shantideva's text here, top, the blue color is like, the quote is, so manifest afflictions, afflictive obscurations are temporary absent. They are seen to have rebirth to the power of action. Meaning, like we had before, they can suppress, like when they would only be suppressed, you know, the temporary absent means they are suppressed only, yeah? Then hearers and Solitary Realizer Arhats, they still have suffering. They accumulate karma. So they don't have liberation because rebirth through the force of contaminated actions and karma has not been overcome. Meaning, if the mind lacks wisdom of emptiness, also there is a halting of the afflictions of the self-sufficient, substantial existent self. The afflictions will arise again. This, like the absorption of non-discrimination. This is something from the, I think, 20 Sangha. That's the topic I never liked and don't know much about, but I know you're better in that. But anyway, I wrote it down here, so I mentioned it. So they will arise again, the afflictions. So the point is, the manifest afflictions can only be temporarily abandoned. And Shantideva quotes again, the temporal absence of craving to rebirth is definite. So they will have another rebirth. And the essence of this is like, again, for Prasangika in comparison to the Satantrika. True cessation and true path, and that's the aspect of number two. True cessation and true path are posited by Satantrika. They are not true cessation and true path according to Prasangika. Also, the path of seeing and the path of meditation in the Satantrika system are not the same as the path of seeing, path of meditation that lead to liberation in the Prasangika system. The same with the 12 links, they're not the same with the 12 links for Prasangika. And Svatantrika hold afflictive ignorance is grasping for self of person, and non-afflictive ignorance is grasping for self of phenomena. And this is not so for the Prasangika. The main thing again that the Svatantrika posit that there is something there from the object side, and is not only perceived or designated by the mind. This is a big difference to Prasangika, who is, as mentioned, there really everything is, nothing is coming of the empty, of the size of the object. Okay. Just so I can see. Again, here a quote from Shantideva. Craving or attachment occurs through the cause of feeling, and they have feeling. What does it mean? Now, the attachment comes out, the cause of attachment is feeling, and they, meaning again, here in Solitary have feeling. Means they are lacking the view of emptiness. Ignorance is not in the least abandoned. if one holds about something on, or just of true existence, the aggregate, not at least abandoned, one needs to realize that the feeler and the feeling are not inherently existent. Then no attachment can arise anymore. One needs to realize that the object and the object possessor are both non-inherently existent. And here again, the quote of Shantideva: when it is seen that there is no feeler and feeling, why would attachment not be overcome through seeing this situation? Meaning here, if one doesn't cognize the aggregates as not truly existing, then one will not cognize the person as not truly existing, and thereby one will not cognize the selflessness of person, because the two of them, they have the same subtlety. This again is a proof for the first and the second of these uncommon points. Okay, let me quickly see. Yep. I would like actually not to go further because there's a new mind map that is quite big now, but just maybe can we debate a bit or discuss a bit about what we were talking now? Is it, I don't know, can you say something how you understand this, or do you have to add something or to make it a question? We'll see if this is a start.
So you're asking me, right?
Yes.
I think it just mainly comes down to that the Prasangika can get rid of all the afflictions and the other schools are not, because the other schools are holding there's still something there which they cling on to. Is it outside or is it inside? And the Prasangika nothing at all. So exactly. This whole debate's talking about.
Exactly.
In shortly.
Exactly. I think that's a good point. And also that, I think because of, but that's how that's for the Prasangika, that the direct realization of emptiness is emptiness of phenomena, that it's actually, it is also an afflictive obscuration. And therefore, all of them have to have them, because they all agree that hearers and Solitary Realizers and Bodhisattvas have to abandon the afflictive obscuration. And so it is really shows that they must have also not only selflessness of person, but also selflessness of phenomena. And these two, but that the grasping for a self of phenomena is an afflictive obscuration, is really very connected to this first tenet. For me, it got much more clear now by going through these charts and texts today. Yeah, okay, maybe let me see. Yeah, I always try to ask a question for you, about a meaningful question, but I don't have one. So I think we just leave it for today, and I will go on next time with the next charts. They're quite big, so it's good not to start with one of them. I think it's better just to go on than the next one next time.
Oh, great, thank you.
Okay, so then I go to our dedication. Whatever small merit we generated today through listening, sharing, reflecting on this topic, I like to dedicate for our own developing of great compassion, the wisdom realizing emptiness and all qualities, with the wish for all sentient beings to be able to experience love and compassion, the wisdom realizing emptiness and all qualities in their life. And specifically again these days, that all the suffering and the wars in the world may stop immediately. May the precious body-mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. In this land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chandesi Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. As long as space remains, and as long as sentient beings remain, may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Okay, thank you very much, and yeah, bye.